Hey guys, this is Caspi with Tape, and today you join me for episode 40 of Caspi Road to Exploration. And today we start on the station with another Minmus mission with the Red Origin 3, our little lander, which has kind of been outdated now, but since the Thor lander is on the moon at the base, we are still using this, and since we just need to go and plant a flag and rescue a Kerbal, this is perfect for that kind of mission. It is less fuel heavy because it uses, well, because it's less massive, which is good. And yeah, it's still a very good spacecraft, and I probably will continue to use it for Minmus exploration. Although I would quite like to have a proper system of the moon where there is a lander on the station, so you just have to fly to the star. I've mentioned this many times, but I'll probably need a mining base, and mining's actually kind of hard. It takes ages. I still have my miner on Minmus kind of hacking away, trying to get enough ore to get me a bunch of money, which I don't even need anymore, but it's still nice to kind of do that. But it takes so long that I'd need a really big mining base, which might be awesome, so yeah. Anyway, I just gotta plan our maneuver to go to Minmus, and I'm gonna have a sip of my green tea, because I am drinking green tea now, because I intend to live forever, and I feel if I drink green tea I will live forever. Because, like, Patrick Stewart hasn't aged in, like, 20 years, although he has aged a bit recently, which is a shame. Maybe it doesn't make you live forever. Also, I'm not a particularly healthy person, so I should probably just live healthier. But, green tea is a nice alternative to coffee, I guess. And I don't like normal tea, because normal tea tastes weird. And, yeah, I'm not a coffee snob, actually. I know a lot of people are. It's like, oh, it has to be filter coffee or out of a machine. It's like, I don't care, as long as it's coffee. If you do instant coffee right, it's fine. Put enough milk in there. It's great. I mean, obviously, real coffee is nicer, but I don't get. But people who are like, I think Penguin's one of them. So tread lightly. Who can only drink like super nice coffee. It's like, okay, well, I have it much easier than you. Then I can just drink any coffee. Costa, you know, all that shit. Although Starbucks is way better than Costa. But they're all overpriced. Anyway, here we are at Duna, not thinking too much about coffee because we have things to do right now. Like save this Kerbal. I just need to plan a maneuver which will put me on a good path to save the Kerbal. So I'm going to get myself into a similar looking orbit and then tweak my orbital period later so I actually rendezvous with the Kerbal. Yes, a little bit of maneuvering. Yeah, you can pretty much make your orbit do anything if you know what you're doing. It looks like we're going to have to do, a retrograde burn so that we'll meet it there. There we go. A quick retrograde burn. A very small one, rather nice. I will continue to drink my green tea. Also, green tea, really cheap. I shouldn't have a drink in my video. It always just makes me talk about the drink. Oh yeah, maybe that could be a sponsor thing. It's like, oh yeah, I'll talk about this drink for you. Although, what kind of crazy person would sponsor my channel? Someone who doesn't want to sell stuff, I guess. Who wants to keep all of their drinks. Anyway, here we are, pretty quickly rendezvoused with Jalian. Have a better name. The last Kerbal we rescued was called Alfred. That was awesome. What the fuck is Jalian? Jeez, Joel. Jeez, Jalian. There we go. Her little capsule. Oh, I believe the capsule, once again, is an airlock. I guess they, again, Mark Watneyed, just kind of blew up their airlock. Like a putz. That totally wasn't his fault. That would probably happen with Canvas. That's why you should take metal bases to Mars. I was going to say Duna, but actually probably Canvas would be better because you could inflate it. It would be easier to send. But also, once you get there, you'll die of radiation poisoning. Maybe they'll figure that out. Hopefully they will. Musk seems to think it's not a massive issue. If you put enough water in the way, it'll be fine. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. But anyway, yes, now we need to go and land on Minmus and plant a flag just to grab a little money. And I've elected to land in the spot of my first landing, I think it's the Great Flats, because there's a bunch of science I haven't done from there, so I'm going to go and clean that up. There is still quite a lot of science on Minmus, although I've been to almost every biome. I realise I haven't been to the Highlands, if there are Highlands on Minmus. Green tea, getting bitterer by the minute, because it is brewing. Alright. So let's fall to the surface and land on these beautiful flats. Yeah, I'm sure. I think there's probably Highlands, and I'm sure there's some other weird biome I'm not thinking of. But yes, so let's get ourselves directed towards the ground. Take a little science. I didn't actually see that my pre-rendered window is running rather slowly now. OBS footage is quite heavy, apparently. So that's great. Just land the spacecraft. Just stop lagging, Sony Vid. Okay, it seems to not be lagging now. Yeah, lots of problems with stuff. Bandicam stopped working, so now I'm using OBS, which is more reliable, but also terrible. So that's kind of annoying. But free, so that's good. Kind of annoyed that I paid for Bandicam and now it's terrible. Yeah, never was that good. Anyway, so let's just grab all of this science, get back in our capsule, well, plant a flag first, then get back in our capsule, and just leave, and take the, obviously the gravity report. But yes, we're just going to put, I'm not actually going to put anything in it, because I'm just going to take it down, because I have far too many flags about, and my map view is starting to lag, so I have to keep hiding the probes, so yeah, that's kind of annoying. But yes, we are all loaded in to our spacecraft, and we'll just go back straight away because the fuel tank hasn't gotten that far ahead of us because it's in such high orbit, which is good. We'll be able to meet it in an orbit's time once we change our inclination a little, and that'll be rather nice. What's our Kerbal today? Is it Gregvin? I can't see. There's the Windows bar in the way. Maybe if I do this. There we. Oh no, now I can't see it all. It's map view. God damn it! But yes, we will encounter the spacecraft in. Yeah, one orbit, which is nice, and here we are just docking with it, because you know what rendezvousing looks like. I've done it maybe a gajillion times. We need a new number for the amount of times I have done laborious rendezvous in this series, but I still love it, because it feels more like an actual space program. It's like not constantly going to other planets, but that will be happening this episode, because we're going to go land on Duna, with a probe, obviously. I don't have some secret manned mission that will get there in one episode. So yes. Here we are, performing our burn, heading off back home. That'll take a little while, though, to get there. I'm just going to do the escape burn and then do the deorbit burn outside of the sphere influence of Minmus, otherwise we'll get into a horrible inclination. We're already in an annoying inclination, but yeah, it should be fine. We've got a lot of Delta V on the spacecraft, and then we'll have to send up an Ares 1 to go and bring this Kerbal back so that we can, get our money for saving him, which is good. Annoyingly, he's another engineer. We've got a bunch of engineers now. What we really need is scientists, because we only have 3, and we actually have kind of job opportunities for 4 of them. We have a lab around Kerbal and a lab on the moon currently. So yeah. Anyway, I'm just checking how much Delta V it will be to do the inclination change and setting an alarm. But right now, it's time to launch the Ares 1. Send up our old spacecraft full of life support and full of Alfred Kerman. Yes, the last Kerbal we saved, who will be coming and bringing home the newest Kerbal we've saved, which will be good. Still using this little rocket. I'm actually thinking, because people keep asking if I can do a video about how I build these rockets, because it's not super obvious, because I build kind of fairly interesting rockets. So I might actually do that, if you're interested. Do a video on just how you build reusable rockets and how I build these rockets specifically, because I think they look interesting enough, really. So yeah, I will probably do that at some point, actually, if you'll want to see it. So yes, getting our spacecraft on its way, just hurtling through the atmosphere, deploying the solar panels so we don't run out of electric charge. Actually, not super necessary, because I always deploy everything before I land the first stage usually, to so that it doesn't lose communications, but because it's a manned spacecraft, doesn't really matter. But here we are, just landing the first stage on the ocean, and I have stopped deploying that fairing at the top there because it's just really dumb to deploy that fairing because it cost about $1,000, and it's actually better not to deploy it. So yes, we're just pushing ourselves into orbit, and then we will move on to the station. And because it's a long episode already, here we are just docking with the station. We'll bring our Kerbal back, grab all the life support, and get out of here, which will be rather nice. Station looking rather beautiful these days. It's gotten even bigger. And here we are just landing the second stage rather gently on the ground. Get a little money back for that. And we just need to bring down the Red Origin to the final part of this Minmus mission, and then we will move on to Duna, which will be rather interesting. Quite a cool mission coming up, I think. Because we have to do, well, you'll see. I'm not going to, no spoilers. Do our quick inclination change and get on the way. I'm just going to drink a little more green tea. Nice. I actually quite like green tea. I never thought I would, but I think the main reason I started drinking it is because it's free in Wagamama's. So you go in there, you want a free drink, green tea. Yeah, you have to buy a meal though. Or sit near some people who have bought a meal and just pretend like you're with them. Ways of getting free things. You know how some YouTubers have a backup plan for everything falls apart? Mine is largely going into restaurants and pretending I am with another party and get all the free food. No, I don't have a backup plan for YouTube because I don't intend it to be my full-time job. That would be just horrifying. A lot of fun, really like doing it, but sounds horribly stressful. It's like, oh, if people don't watch these videos, I don't make any money, which sounds just great. And because it is still such a new platform, really, it's pretty unstable. I wouldn't want to do it. Unless I was working for a company like Rooster Teeth, that'd be good. Although I have no marketable skills for something like that. I am a programmer by trade. But anyway, there we are, docked onto the station, completed our mission, and all is well. We're just going to transmit a little bit of science back because, well, we have like 180 science there that we'd quite like to have on the ground. This lab is so useful. And there we are, just throwing the science we got from Minmus in there, just topping up its data so we get more and more science. And I am just going to finish this green tea now. God damn it, I spilled it down me. I am the worst at things. And we'll get the remaining science, put it in the pod. I think we can just go home, really. I mean, we've done all of that. Make sure Gregvin's in a comfortable place. And then we will transfer all of the resources across from the capsule, so we're keeping enough life support on the station. And we're going to get going. A little bit of a RCS burn, and then here we are, just coming home. Flying over the KSC in our beautiful little capsule, and landing on the ocean. Getting all of our money back, getting 100 grand for saving people, and thinking about buying stuff in the tech tree, but not really doing it. But yeah, that's what my tech tree looks like. But anyway, here we are for the second time. Encountering Duna with the Buzzard 3 spacecraft. The first time, of course, was the Kestrel 1, our first ever interplanetary spacecraft, and this is now bound for Duna. Although we have to do a quick tweak because floating point error caused us to have a much higher periaps than we should have. And you can see Ike just spinning beautifully there, and you could just actually catch the shadow of Ike on Duna. That's Scatterer that actually adds shadows, which is really cool. And yes. So we're just going to deploy these solar panels because we're running really low on electric charge because of various idiosyncrasies of the spacecraft, the size of the second stage and things. And it takes about 40 seconds for them to deploy after you click it because we again have the signal delay, and we have a 41, almost 42 second signal delay from here to Kerbal, because we are of course using remote tech, the communications mod. But yes, here we are, just pulling ourselves into orbit, and I'm going to leave myself on a reasonably high... Well, I was going to leave myself on a reasonably high orbit because I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to do with the excess fuel in the second stage, but after evaluating my Delta V capabilities, I decided I'd actually pull it into a into a tighter orbit and decouple this. I actually realized I've skipped some footage there. I did pull it into a tighter orbit than the one you saw there, and now I'm deploying the orbiter there so that I can land the lander, and I'm going to use the fuel on the second stage, well, on the rocket stage, to help me land, and then I'm going to ditch it and let it fall into the surface of Duna. But yes, sorry, that was a bit sporadic. I realized I must have accidentally cut out a little bit of footage, but yes. So we're going to leave the orbiter in orbit. The orbiter will be doing our long-range communications, and after we're done with the lander mission, it will be going on to Ike to complete various missions. So this is a multi-part mission. As you can see, we are using the orbiter there to communicate with Kerbal. And I've used the my old little trick of putting maneuver over where I need to be to counter the signal delay, because I have to take a temperature report over this certain area, which I need to fly over. But because I have a 42 second signal delay, I need to know when I'm 42 seconds away from where I need to take the temperature report. So yeah, here we are, just taking it 42 seconds early, and we'll fly into the zone. I'll slow it down so you can see how all of this works. And yes, we get our science. We just get rid of that report, and we've completed the mission. You can see up in the top right, it's flashing rather nicely. That's about 33,000, and we've got 4 more to take. They're all quite spaced out, but luckily this one we could do from space, so it was fine. But we're going to go land near these two because we have to get these 2 reports that you can see there from the surface. And I'm using the smart ASS of MechJeb to hold my position retrograde for deorbiting. And I'm going to decouple the second stage in, well, about 40 seconds and activate the engine. I've set up the parachutes so they're already deployed, so I can deploy them in real time by changing their pressure requirements. As you can see here, we've deployed the drogue chute, we're deploying the main chutes, and we will fall gently, hopefully, to the surface of Duna, the beautiful redness that is Duna. And yeah, we're going at a reasonable speed, and I will slow it down, of course, for the landing, because this is the first time we have landed on Duna in this series, and it is rather glorious. Our little lander, the second stage, has crashed into the surface already, but the parachutes lead us to the ground, and we fire up our engine and touch down gently on the ground. That's rather nice. So, we're going to redeploy our solar panels, we're going to get a bunch of science, we're going to communicate with our orbiter and complete the first section of our mission. That was I just looked at the money I got for taking the report in orbit. Oh no, that was a world first right there. That was 33,000 for landing on Duna, so that's not bad. A little bit of money for that. But yes, we're going to get a bunch of our preliminary science, and then we are going to move on to the other zones to try and get as much. We're going to go and complete those missions. So we got to land at the 2 zones near us, and then we're going to hopefully fly up way north to fly through that other zone so that we can get our final temperature report, which will be good. I'm sorry if there's background noise, by the way, I didn't mention, but my fan is on. My fan is perpetually on. It is far too hot currently in England. It's not even that hot. It's just kind of, I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, we transmitted a little science there, but now we're just going to... Oh no, we transmitted all of our science. I totally wasn't paying attention. I was talking about the fan. But now we're going to prepare the spacecraft for a quick hop so that we can jump over to the other zones and try and complete the mission, because this mission will pay off about, I think with all of the various payments, about 500,000 funds, which basically funds the next mission or 2 to Duna. So yeah, we're going to activate the navigation, and we're going to do a quick jump upward. And it looks like we will fly just about through that zone, except actually we're going to fly to the side of that zone, so we have to do this kind of crazy U-turn you'll see in a minute to try and pull ourselves into the zone. But we have so much fuel. This spacecraft is pretty much just fuel. It doesn't even have that many scientific experiments because it needed fuel more than anything else. So it doesn't have mystery goo or materials bay. It is just the basic scientific experiments. And I didn't bring a gravioli detector because I'm a moron and I forgot. That would have gotten us a lot more science. But yeah, there we are, touching down gently. And now we can take the temperature report in 42 seconds. That will complete. We can look for Ike in the sky, and we get our money. That's 33,000. And we're going to do the same, jump to that next one, which is just east of us. So we're going to do another quick hop with this engine, and we're going to go land. And oh, look how beautiful Duna is in the mist. It's just so perfect. I love Duna. I realise at 4 times time accelerator it's harder to observe the beauty of it, but it is just wow. I mean, that is quite I am always, as I've said many a time, blown away by the beauty of this game, even with its not particularly high texture quality. But I think it's just the majesty of what actually is there. But here we are landing in the next zone, taking another temperature report, and we will complete our final mission. Well, not a final mission, our penultimate mission, and then we're going to have to do a very risky maneuver and maybe lose the probe, but as long as we complete the mission, it doesn't matter. Yes, so we have one more to do from below 11,000 meters. So we're going to have to fly under this zone, but still be flying. And it's going to take probably all of my fuel, is my assessment of this. And at the end of the mission, you will see exactly how true that is. But we're going to wait for the orbiter to come back around so we have as much time communicating as possible. And I'm actually just using pretty much that kind of bar antenna you can see on there, the small one, to communicate, because it doesn't break off in the atmosphere, whereas the extendable one does. So I'm not really using that currently, but I use that when I'm on the ground. But anyway, here we are, just losing control of this because it's not stable going forward, because it's meant to go backwards into the atmosphere, and it's tumbling around like crazy, which is making it really hard to do this mission, incredibly frustrating. But it looks like I might just about be able to do this. I've burned off more than half of my Delta V right now, and I'm just going to keep firing my engine so that I can fly through it and take the temperature report right there, and fly right through it, and hopefully get some of these, get this final report. And I will slow it down so you can see it. And yes, we get a little science. We'll keep that rather nicely. And the mission is complete. 334,000 plus the extra 40,000 for that mission. So yes, we have made a huge amount of money from this mission already. And you can see just at the top of the screen that beautiful looking ridge. I'd love to go and explore, maybe with a Kerbal, although there are nicer parts of Duna to explore. And now I'm going to try and land this because it has been so good to us that I thought it deserved a landing. And we do manage to touch it down on the surface with 5 meters per second of Delta V left. Look how little fuel there is in the top, and in the bottom left, look how little Delta V there is left. And I'm just turning off the SAS because it's driving me crazy. But yes, that is the lander mission completed. Science and money, that's what we like. Going to deploy the solar panel so that this can remain on the surface for eternity, as a bit of a relay maybe, or just as a landmark to our success. Transmit a little bit of science left, and that will stay there for eternity. But our mission is not over. As I said, this mission comes to you in many parts, So the next part is putting a satellite in orbit of Ike, which is the orbiter's second purpose. Its key purpose was to provide long-range communications for the lander. Its secondary purpose is to complete orbital missions, such as putting a satellite in orbit of Ike and of Duna. Ike is our main goal, because if we go to Ike and do this, there's a higher chance that we'll be able to get into the high orbit required for the Duna mission. But yeah. So we're going to plan this and let the flight computer take care of that burn, because I don't think I'll have communications on the dark side of Ike. So yeah. But it looks like I might, but I'm still going to leave it to the flight computer, because the flight computer knows best. I'm taking a little bit of scientific reports, which I realize is kind of pointless, because I'm going to be in a high orbit anyway, that big pink orbit. But yes, anyway, we'll perform our orbital insertion, which is quite small, and we have a lot of Delta V on this spacecraft. This mission had a hell of a lot of fuel on it, and required the biggest rocket I've ever launched, the Pulsar 4I, the interplanetary one, which its third stage was the one I crashed into Duna. So that's quite a big, well, the biggest rocket I've ever launched in this series. Not in total, I've launched some pretty big rockets in my KSP career. Yes. But anyway, here we are, getting ready to do our burn and get our orbit of Ike, which is probably not going to be the final resting place of this probe. It's either going to go on to complete the mission around Duna, or just go back to orbit Duna to be a communications satellite, basically, for when we do manned missions. Because we currently have two satellites. Well, we have another satellite in orbit of Duna. So yes, I'm just going to change my orbit to meet this by doing a rather hefty inclination change and then a bunch of tweaking, which will hopefully go well so that we can get a huge amount of money more. And I'm pushing my launch schedule back a little bit so that I can do this mission, because I don't want to launch the moon rival right now. I want to do Duna stuff. But yes, next episode I will hopefully be launching my moon rover finally, if I can actually get enough Delta V on the rocket, because well, it's a heavy rover and it has to land on the moon. I can maybe launch it in 2 parts, or I've just had a better plan. It's cool. I'll just do that. I was thinking maybe I'd attach it to one of the Red Origin spacecraft, but actually that might not work particularly well, because then the Red Origin spacecraft will be stranded. Or maybe just refuel it on the stage. Well, whatever. Anyway, this is a problem for later. Right now, we just need to get into the correct orbit of Ike, which is no mean feat. So yes, we're also going to pull in our apoapsis a little bit, just to so we're in the correct kind of position. Do another inclination change, and then a prograde burn, and hopefully we'll be in the right orbit. Although obviously it's not that simple. Oh, you can see the specks in the sky of distant planets, which is nice. A lot of these Duna missions I'm completing right now I've had for just literally years, which have really hindered my ability to... That's one of the reasons I've had such a hard time making money in this series, because I've taken on so many missions to do stuff around Duna, and I obviously haven't been able to complete them for so long. So I'm actually finally releasing myself a little bit from from the prison of having too many missions to do in other places. Which is nice. But yes, I'm just going to perform a few additional burns to put myself in the right orbit. We need to do another inclination change and a anti-radial burn, and then a retrograde burn. You can see I'm just kind of messing around trying to get the right orbit from the one position, and we nail it, and that is the mission completed, and we get 247,000 funds from this. We are now very rich men. We'll be able to launch crazy parties into space. It'll be great. Champagne Station is what I'll call it. No, but anyway, that is the end of the episode. I hope you'll come back for the next episode. Soon we will be arriving at Dres. At some point we'll be arriving at Eve. And very, very, very long time from now, we may even arrive at Joule. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this. This has been episode 40 of KSP Road to Exploration. I will see you next time.